Hi all my students of Standard 10. Let's continue with our History Civics portion, and we are doing the Legislature, and this is my module on where I left off last, that is the journey of a bill to become a law. Okay, that is what we are going to handle in this module at the beginning of the module. And what exactly, I hope you have your notes ready with you. Always keep your notes ready when you are coming for a lecture, okay, when you are seeing the module. If you don't have it, pause the video, go and get your module, get your notes. Okay, now the journey of a bill to become a law. The proposal for a law is called as a bill. A bill cannot become a law unless it is approved by both the houses. So who makes these laws, and who makes and why are these laws made? What is the reason for having a particular law? Who initiates the proceedings? How is a law of a country, of our country, made, and who makes them? Then the answer is that it is made in the legislature. The legislature is the law making body of our country, and they make the law. And where do they make the laws? The laws are made in the parliament. Okay, so in both the houses. So that is so, but before it becomes a law, when you propose something that I want to make this particular law for my country, in India we are talking about. So if you want to propose that particular law, that we should have this law in the country, then before it becomes a law, it is called as a bill. Okay, and in the bill, after everybody has approved of it, after everybody assents to it, after everybody signs on it, the relevant people sign on it, only then it can become a law. So that is a procedure of making a bill into a law. Means a proposal for a law becomes a law. A proposal for a law is called as a bill, and then it becomes a law. I want you to turn to your textbooks. They've got a flow chart given to you. Please look at that flow chart. Were you all able to open it? Yeah. We are on Union Legislature, Union Parliament, Chapter 1. We are on Chapter 1. Okay. So we come to Bill. Now see, Bill, House 1, there is an introduction, there is a clause by clause discussion, and then there is committees to study, and then there is vote. Okay. Now these have been given names. It's called as a first reading, the second reading, and the third reading. The first reading means the introduction. So you introduce the bill, that this is the bill we want, and we want this particular law to take shape. So you want to decide on that particular law. So that is the introduction. Then the second reading is what? There is a clause by clause discussion. So every single clause is discussed. It just doesn't become a law. You have to discuss every single clause and what are its implications. If it comes into force, what can happen, what cannot happen, how can people miss. Everything is discussed in detail. Then we have committees also to study that particular law, whether it is worth having this law or not. After that, there is a third reading when it is put to vote. Okay. So we put it to vote. Now once you put it to vote, after it is voted, a majority of them agree in that particular house, then it will go to the second house. Now once it goes to the second house, it has the same procedure that was followed in the first house. Now by the first house and second house, what is meant over here is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, or it can be vice versa. It can be Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Whichever house introduces the bill is called house number 1, and whichever house gets the bill second is called as house number 2. So it can be anything. It can be the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. Is that clear? समझ में आया ना what I'm trying to explain to you? कोई भी house में we can introduce a bill to make it a law. Okay. Now what happens once the bill is passed? Means if a majority of the people in both the houses pass the bill, they say yes, we agree to this, then what happens? It goes to the president for the president's assent. The president will sign on it, he will stamp on it, he will see the law and everything, and then he'll give his assent on it. And once he gives his assent, then that thing becomes a law. Have you understood? So a bill has journeyed to become a law. Now you come to the second part. In the same flow chart, you come to the part where they've given you the bill is passed. Then it's written no recommendations. It goes back to the first house. Sometimes there could be recommendation. So with or without recommendation, it will go back to the first house. If it goes with the recommendations, The first house will again consider it. Again, they'll see what changes have to be. The whole process is repeated again. Once the process is repeated again, it will come back to the second house. Now, still, if they are not able to agree, so if there is a deadlock, then you come to your flowchart. If there is a deadlock, what will happen? There will be a joint sitting of both the houses, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. And what will happen? Once the joint sitting is done, then the bill will be put to vote again, and then it will be passed. It will go to the President's assent, and then it will become a law. Now over here in the joint sitting, it is the Speaker of the Lok Sabha who will preside over it. Okay, and always remember that in a joint sitting, it is the Lok Sabha who gets the upper hand, because the Lok Sabha has more members, whereas the Rajya Sabha has a lesser number of members. So if a joint sitting occurs, it will always be the will of the Lok Sabha. Now, another thing, there are two types of bills. There are the money bills and there are also ordinary bills. Now, an ordinary bill is a bill which can be introduced, which relates to any matter but finance, but money, because we have a separate bill which is called as a money bill, finance bills. So finance bills or money bills, they can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. They cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha has no power. It is the exclusive power of the Lok Sabha to have an introduction of a money bill. Okay. So that is a difference you have to remember in money bill and ordinary bills. The other differences, of course, we are going to read from your textbook, but that is the main difference. And a money bill, before it is introduced in the Lok Sabha, you have to go to the Speaker. The Speaker will go through that proposal, and the Speaker will decide whether that particular thing that you are proposing, whether it is a money bill or is it not a money bill. If the Speaker decides that it's not a money bill, then he can just refuse it, and then you cannot pass that bill. Okay, so it is in the hand of the Speaker will decide. And also a money bill can be introduced in the Parliament after the consent of the President. You cannot just introduce a money bill. All the details are given in your textbook. We are going to read all of them. The basic difference, I explain to you the basic difference. Okay, so now let's continue with the actual thing. Let's read it from the textbook. Please open your textbooks to the passing of the bills. Okay, from where you were looking at the flow chart, the page before that. The Parliament follows certain set procedures to make laws. The proposal of a law is called as a bill. All legislative proposals have to be brought in the form of bills before the Parliament. A bill is a statute in draft and cannot become a law unless it has received the approval of both the houses of the Parliament and the assent of the President of India. Bills are of two kinds, ordinary bills and money bills. I have explained this to you. So now you just mark the points so that you can write your answers. Point number 1. An ordinary bill may be introduced in any of the two houses of the Parliament. First point. Then it can be introduced either by a minister in the government or by a private person, a private member of the house. Second point. Third point, if it is introduced by a minister of the government, it is called as a government bill. If it is introduced by a private member, it is called as a private bill. So that is point number 3. Private member's bill. The process of considering a bill is called as a reading. That is a definition of reading. Underline. Next point. A bill goes through 3 such readings in each house. First reading. What is it? The first stage is the introduction of the bill, explaining its objectives. Point number 1. This is circulated in the house. A minister or a private member who introduces the bill gives a speech. So the introducer, you can write, the introducer gives a speech on the bill and he explains the merits of his proposal. That is the second point. If the House is in favor of the introduction of the bill, it goes to the next stage. So the introduction of the bill with all its formalities is known as the first reading of the bill. So if it is approved, then it goes to the second stage. What is the second stage? It is called as the second reading. And what is the second reading? A detailed discussion of the bill takes place. Here, the bill may undergo changes. Members from different parties express their views on the bill or make suggestions during this stage. Sometimes a bill is referred to a committee so that it may carefully study the bill and make recommendations to the members of the House. So what are the basic things that happen in the second reading? First of all, there will be a detailed discussion. After that, what will happen? Suggestions will be made, counter suggestions and suggestions. And then sometimes a committee may be appointed to go into the merits and demerits of that particular bill. So this is what happens in the second reading. Then we come to the third reading. Finally, at the third reading, the bill as a whole is put to vote. So the entire bill is put before the House and they have to vote. If passed by a simple majority, it is passed by the House. So if a majority of the people pass the bill, then it is passed by the House. Then after it is passed by the first House, it goes to the second House. The second House, the same procedure is followed. First reading, second reading, third reading. Then the presidential assent. Finally, if the bill gets a majority and is passed in the other house of the parliament, it goes to the president for his assent. Okay, so next point, that if it is passed in both the houses, it will go to the president for his assent. Second point, if the president does not give his assent, the bill goes back to the houses for the parliament, asking them to reconsider the bill. Okay, once the bill is sent back to the president with or without any change a second time, the latter means the president has to give his assent. So once the president has given some recommendations which may or may not be accepted by the houses, and then it is resent to the president that give your assent, then it is compulsory for the president to give his or her assent. After getting the president's assent, it becomes a law or an act. Okay. Now, what if there is a deadlock between the two houses? If there is a deadlock between the two houses, the president calls a joint sitting of the two houses. The issue is decided by a majority of vote. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha presides over such joint sittings. Whenever there is a joint sitting, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha will be the presiding officer. Naturally, because the Lok Sabha has more members. It must be noted that as a total number of members in the Lok Sabha are double than that of the Rajya Sabha, in the joint sitting, the will of the Lok Sabha will prevail because they are more. And you have a picture on the next page next to that of Shri Om Birla. It's given to you. Om Birla, Speaker of the Lok Sabha. You have to remember all the pictures so that you know if any question is given to you based on a particular picture, you should be able to answer those questions. Now we come to money bills. As far as money bills are concerned, I've explained this to you, so I'm just going to be reading it. You can mark points as we go along. As far as money bills are concerned, they first require the ruling of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha as to whether it is a money bill or not. A money bill can be introduced in the parliament only with the consent of the President of India. So that is point number 2. Money bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Second, after the ruling of the Speaker. Third, it can be introduced only after the President of India consents to it. As far as money bills are concerned, there is an important difference in the power between the two houses. A money bill can be introduced in the Lok Sabha only and not in the Rajya Sabha. However, when it is passed in the Lok Sabha, it is sent to the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha cannot reject a money bill. So next point, the Rajya Sabha cannot reject a money bill, and within 14 days, the Rajya Sabha has to return the bill within a period of 14 days with or without its recommendations. After the bill is sent to the President for his assent, his or her assent. Okay. Now we come to the next topic, come to the next chapter. We are going to do the powers and functions of the Union Parliament. Have you found it? Okay, so the powers and functions, come to page number 208. We have got the powers and functions. We have a chart over here on page number 208. The powers and functions of the Parliament: constitutional, legislative, financial, executive, electoral and judicial. First, we are going to do the legislative powers. The legislative powers, what do you mean by legislative powers? The powers to make a law. Okay, so let's see. What are they? Come to that page. Let's begin. Please mark legislative. I have not made notes on this. You just mark it and learn it up and write it if the question comes. So legislative powers means the powers to make laws. Okay. All bills other than the money bills can originate in any house. Point number 1. Point number 2. No bill can become a law unless it is passed by both the houses. Third point, if there is a disagreement, the President will summon both the houses for a joint meeting. Fourth point, at the joint sitting, issues are decided by a majority. No, 1 minute. So at the joint meeting, both the houses should be present and voting, and here and here the Lok Sabha has an upper hand. Fine. So now the parliament is competent to make laws on what? On matters of all the lists. First is the union list, then is the concurrent list, then is the residuary powers, and then the fourth one is the matters of the state list. So you can make laws on all these four things. What do you mean by union list? You have to learn the examples. The union list includes important subjects like defense, banking, communication, and foreign affairs. All this is included in the union list. You have to remember which list carries what portfolios, for the simple reason that you get a question over there. Just see in your last where you have these questions. Yes, see, they've given you one question over there. Read the excerpt below and then answer the questions that follow. So like that you will get a clipping or something, and then they can ask you that in which list does this particular topic come. So learn the examples. Okay, so union list we've done. Now matters in the concurrent list. Along with the state legislative assemblies, the parliament can make laws on subjects which are listed in the concurrent list. That means in the concurrent list you have the state legislative also making laws, and you also have the union parliament also can make laws in the state legislative. Okay. Then which are these subjects? Education, forest, adoption, succession, trade union, etc. So these are for both the people. Both of them can make sufficient amount of make their laws. State can have its own laws. Now say, for example, I'll explain to you. Supposing we talk about education. So education policy will be governed by each state, because each state can have its own education. That's why you have these different things where you learn the state language. Okay, but at the same time, simultaneously, even the union government can make its own, the parliament can make its own rules where it talks about, say, Hindi, that Hindi is compulsory a second language, so you have to learn Hindi. So both of them can make their laws. Okay, in the concurrent list, those subjects which are listed in the concurrent list, the laws can be made by the union government also and by the state government also. Okay, then of course the union law will prevail if there is a conflict. Then we come to the residuary powers. Whichever subject is not mentioned anywhere, it goes to the parliament. The parliament possesses residuary powers. It means that it can make laws with respect to all those matters which are not mentioned in any of the three lists: the union list, state list, and concurrent list. Now we come to the state list. What are the state lists? The state list compromises matters related to agriculture, animal husbandry, public health, and local government, police, etc. So all this is in the state list. However, there are certain situations when the union parliament can make laws even if it is in the state list. So even if that particular thing is in the state list, the union government can make laws. Which are those things? During the proclamation of an emergency. First point, when the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by two-thirds majority that a subject in the state list has assumed national importance. So if there is any particular subject in the state list but which has become of national importance, then the Rajya Sabha can make and the Rajya Sabha passes a vote by majority that this thing which is there in the state list needs to be taken up by the union government. Okay. When two or more states are of the opinion that the parliament should legislate on a subject given in a state list. Now supposing there is a particular subject which is in the state list. If it is in the state list, actually the state has to make the law on that particular subject. But supposing the state decides, or the state says that no, we want the union parliament to intervene. So then those one state or those two states which have approached the union parliament that we want you to make a law on this, then the union parliament can make a law on that particular subject. During which case, once the law is made by the union parliament, that law will be applicable only to those states which have approached the union parliament that you all make this law for us. Okay, it is not for everybody. Its effect is not on all the states. Its effect will be only on the states which have approached it. Okay, so let's read it. When two or more states are of the opinion that the parliament should legislate on a subject given in the state list, the parliament can make an act on that subject, but that will be applicable only to the consenting states, means only to those states who have approached it. Okay, then we come to ordinances. What do you mean by an ordinance? The president is empowered to promulgate an ordinance at a time when the Parliament is not in session. It has the same effect as an act. All ordinances must be put up before both the houses for their approval. Ordinances cease to operate after 6 weeks from the reassembly of the Parliament unless they are approved by the House. So whenever the Parliament is not in session, the President has got a right and he or she can put up an ordinance if necessary, and that ordinance will have the effect of a law. So it will be treated as if it is a law which is in force, and on the condition that as soon as the parliament comes in session, at that time that particular ordinance which has been given by the president has to be passed by a majority of vote within 6 weeks. So if the parliament starts on a particular date, counting 6 weeks from that date, the ordinance which was passed by the president has to be approved of by the members of both the houses. Only then it can become a law, and it can continue to stay as a law. Otherwise it will get frustrated. Okay, so that much for the legislative powers of the Union Parliament, and the remaining powers we'll be doing the next time. So please check my module, read everything, learn everything, and wish you all a goodbye. Please do keep studying. See you all again in my next module, where we'll continue with the powers and functions of the Parliament, the remaining 5 powers. We have done 1 today. Okay, so see you again. Here's your history facilitator for ICSE exams, CISCE board. Wishing you all a goodbye.